Yo, what's up everyone? This is Valoramous. In today's DJ tutorial on the DDJ-1000, I want to discuss when you should apply the various effects to songs during your sets. So you have four different types of effects on the DDJ-1000. You have the sound color effects, you have the beat effects, you have the pad effects, and then you have something that's called the release effects, which are lesser known but still used as well. And I'm going to describe when you should use these various effects throughout songs and throughout your sets while performing as a DJ. So in order to best describe when you should use these effects, it is very important to know song structure. So I have described in previous videos the structures of songs, but if you know the general structure, this is going to be your guideline to assist you when you should apply these effects throughout your set. So in general, most songs will have an intro section, a verse section, a build-up section, or like a pre-chorus section, a chorus or drop section, and then this will repeat to a second chorus, potentially a third chorus or third drop, and there may be a bridge section in between and then an outro section. So when you should be applying these effects is during transitions. So for example, if you're transitioning from the intro to the first beat of the first verse, you could apply, for example, a reverb effect, or you could apply a delay or an echo effect. This will enhance the transition going to that next phrase. Now, the most common way to use these effects is actually in the build-up sections, the pre-chorus sections as you're going to the drop, because you want to amplify the energy to the crowd and get them hyped up and amped for that most memorable part of the song, which is usually the chorus when everyone can sing along, or it has the most amount of energy so everyone can dance. So in EDM, a lot of times these build-up sections are 8 bars in length. So I know from about 1 to 7 bars, usually a sweet spot is about 3 to 4 bars, that latter half of that build section, I'm going to apply some sort of effect. So I could use the reverb and filter in combination, so you're filtering up the low end and applying some reverb, and that's going to create this sense of airiness and eliminate the low end so that when the drop hits, it's that much more impactful and you're in the same sense of space. So these effects together, as I just said, filter and reverb, it's eliminating the low end, so it's eliminating that power. It's creating more sense of space, so it's going to be much more washy and dreamy. But when you remove those two effects, it's powerful in your face and you lose that sense of space to where you're all present in the same moment. So this is a great effect to apply during the build-up section. Now another effect to apply is going to be the beat effects. I love to use the NT delay and then also the echo. The echo effect I have on 1/4 bar, and then the NT delay I have on 1 bar. So during that 8 bar buildup, what you could do is from bar 1 to bar 7, apply either of these effects, or you could just apply it towards the end. I like to apply it usually towards the end. That way the crowd can understand that there is a phrase transitioning from the verse to the buildup, and then allow them to become accustomed to the buildup for a couple of bars, and then start applying that effect for like the last 3 bars. And then on that 8th bar, there's usually a 1 bar pre-fill, eliminate the effects. It's usually be like a vocal phrase or like a drum beat or sometimes just silence. You want all effects to be eliminated. That way it's like that moment of silence. It's basically a calm before the storm, so to speak. So I'm going to play my track, Say Goodbye, and I'm going to demonstrate 3 of these effects. The first one I will demonstrate is going to be the filter and then the reverb effect. I'm going to apply this from the start of bar 5 of the buildup to the end of bar 7, so 3 bars total. It's going to eliminate the low end and then also add that reverb to create that wide sense of space. And then just before the drop, there's going to be a 1 bar vocal fill. It's like a pre-fill. It's a fill that preempts the drop, and then all effects will be eliminated. The second one I'll demonstrate is the delay, and then I'll demonstrate the echo. They're both fairly similar, but I like to use both. Other effects that I sometimes use are the Mobius saw wave. This will add some rising effects, and then sometimes I will also apply I'll use the sampler and I'll use the horns. That's kind of outside the scope of this tutorial because I want to keep this just on effects. But in terms of pads, I sometimes will use rolls. I could use trans effects, but primarily rolls. The first one I'll demonstrate is again going to be the filter and reverb. Then I'll demonstrate the delay and the echo. It's kind of in the same category. And then I'll demonstrate the samples such as horns and sirens to give you 3 quality examples for how you could use effects during these build-up sections. So let's start. Okay, so here goes. Okay, 8 bars. Okay, we're gonna cut now. Let's cut. So you see there, eliminate all of that low end power, so the audience is like, where's the power going? It's not as powerful. You create that sense of space with the reverb, that way the audience gets a little lost in the moment. And then when you remove both those effects, there's that 1 bar pre-fill of vocals, and then the audience is getting snapped back to reality, and then bam, it makes that first impact of that drop that much more powerful, because you have all the low frequencies and you don't have that sense of space. Everyone is all together present in the moment, and that's when they're really going to shake and dance. So that is the filter and the reverb. I'll do it one more time, that way you can see when to actually start to apply this. But for these EDM drops, it's generally an 8 bar buildup. From the first 4 bars, I would recommend maybe you do not apply anything, or you just start to apply, and then it's really those last 3 bars from bars 5, 6, and 7 when you apply these effects, and then bar 8, which is the last bar of the buildup section, no effects, and then that way at the basically the end of bar 8, or you could say bar 9, but really it's the first beat of the drop, or the first bar of the drop. All effects are eliminated, and then the audience can hear the full impact of these effects. So let me do this one more time. 1, 2 bars, 3 bars, 4 bars. Now start applying filter and reverb. There you go. There you have it. So again, first 4 bars, let them become accustomed to that build-up section. Then bars 5, 6, and 7 for 3 bars in length, apply the filter and the reverb. Eliminate the lows, create that sense of space with reverb. And then that last bar, the 8th bar, you eliminate all effects. The audience is snapped back to reality. And then the first beat of that first drop, they really hear that impact. Now let's do the delay. I'll show you the delay and then the echo. This is something I like to use, especially during various types of transitions. The filter and reverb, I generally only use during the build-up section. This next effect I will use, especially if I'm going to be transitioning to another part of the song. This will essentially trick the audience to think that you're applying effect, but they're not going to hear the jump of the song. So if I want to jump from the first chorus to the second chorus, I can use this effect, and they may not know what's happening to them. So this effect could in essence be applied at the very end of that build-up section. This effect could be applied at the very end of that build-up section, and then the audience will not know that the track is skipping. So let me do that first, and then I'll do it in conjunction with the build-up in general. So let's hear this. All right, we're gonna apply the delay. All right, so I just skipped there because I have 2 cue points set. Especially if you have the quantize button set, you'll be able to skip between these sections. So now let's do it. Bars 5, 6, and 7, that build-up section, you'll hear the delay effect, and then I'm gonna eliminate it, and then you'll hear that 1 bar pre-drop fill. Okay, so you just heard that delay. It basically amplified, it created more energy in the build-up, and that's really what this delay effect is doing. It's creating like a stutter effect, but creating more energy. You could use this if you're transitioning between various moments in the song. So it works best not when there's silent in the song, but when there's full beats. So if you have 2 parts of the song that you know are identical, you could use this effect for that 1 bar prior to that moment, and then hit your cue point. And if you have the quantize button and you time it correctly, the audience will not know that you've just jumped between the songs, unless the choruses are obviously different. Then they're gonna know. But if the chorus is the same, which in a lot of songs they are, the the singer may sing it differently, or there may be a few different instrumental elements. A lot of times the audience is not going to know the difference because they're singing along, they're having fun, they may have alcoholic beverages that they've consumed. So in most cases you're going to be fine. It's just important that you know your music, you know the cue points, and if it's two parts of the song that are identical, you could set the same color cue point and jump between sections. So now we're going to do the echo effect. Again, this is a quarter bar as opposed to 1 bar with the MT or Mitteltraga delay, and I'm going to show you this effect as well. Okay, we're going to apply the echo. This is the echo. All right, bar 5, apply. Okay, so in the same family, in the same ballpark, in the same category as the MT delay, just slightly different. I think the MT delay gives you much more energy, but the echo can really enhance the vocals. So I like to use the MT delay when it's more of an instrumental part because it'll create that stutter effect, which is really powerful with drums. The echo I like to use more with vocals because you can echo the vocals, although both effects will work for either section, doesn't really matter. But I think the delay is a little bit more energy. The echo gives you a bit more sense of space. So that's the second category. And now we're gonna do the Mobius saw wave. This is a different effect. Now, obviously there's other effects you use besides the ones that I'm describing here, but these are the main ones. Like for example, I like to use the phaser and the flanger effects during the middle of a section of a track, especially if it's a long track, such as a long house track. I can use these effects just to add some excitement and add some variation to the track, because a lot of times in longer house songs, the crowd can become bored more easily, and adding these effects will enhance your sets. Okay, so now we're gonna do the Mobius saw wave, and then I'll also use the sampler as well. All right, let's try the Mobius saw wave in conjunction with some horns and sirens. This one you can apply earlier. Apply. And you see, the timing in here is not necessarily as important. You heard the siren and the horns extending beyond that build-up section into the drop, so that can also help push you into the next section. The Mobius saw wave, that's basically a saw rising effect. You can use this throughout the entirety of that build-up section because it really is an effect that producers use. So when you hear this, as you apply it, you can really start applying this from that first bar, and the more you raise the level or depth knob, it's going to come. So you can use this from bar 1 to 7, and then cut it off, and there's going to be that echo delay that you just heard. You see that? And that'll extend into probably the first beat of the drop. And so I would recommend you apply this for 7 bars, cut it off, and it'll barely extend to the drop. And then you can also apply some horns and sirens, the traditional DJ effects from the sampler. But these are the 3 main categories that I like to use. With the sampler, it's very important that you have the volume set right, and it's going to depend on the venue. I've been in some venues where I have to have the sampler volume much louder and others a little bit quieter. You can also adjust the volume within the sampler on your Rekordbox DJ software as well. But for example, the volume right here is at about halfway on my DDJ-1000 decks. And that's quite loud. So if I reduce that, not quite as loud, but when you play it at this volume, which is basically at a quarter volume with the track, it's actually not that loud. You can't hear it, and now it's half. So that sampler volume is actually a very important knob. You can test that in your headphones with the cue buttons. You may need to experiment with this earlier in the night during your sets, when you can afford to make a mistake. That way, when you get to peak hour, you're ready to rock the crowd with these 3 effects transitions. So if you want to learn more about how to use the various effects, then click one of these videos here that will describe more about how to use these effects on the DDJ-1000 with your Rekordbox DJ software.
3, 2, 1, lose it. Let's get elevated.